more on the day's top story now. Another organization playing its part to help those affected by gender-based violence and to help those gender-based violence survivors. Glennie is the founder of the TIA Foundation, and she joins us now to discuss various programs, Mara, that you have going that are all aimed at empowering women. Tell us about some of those.
Well, I'm a survivor, and I understand that there is very, very little support for survivors. So after I'd recovered from my ordeal, I purposed not to forget how it felt in the police station where I couldn't get help, but to remember how it felt in a positive way and take positive action. So I've developed an organization where if you have encountered any kind of gender-based violence, you can call us and we'll support you. Whether it's helping you to get a protection order and talking you through the steps, whether it's helping you find a shelter to stay in, or just talking to you in a group because you need encouragement.
Yeah. And I mean, the steps that you have, the programs that you have are so important, but I was just thinking when you mentioned the issue around protection orders, that many women and families of women who have died at the hands of their intimate partners have in fact said that protection orders were what got them there. You know, it wasn't something that protected them, as the name says.
Well, that actually sadly is the truth, because one must understand that there are rules, if I could call them the rules, in which you operate for a protection order. So you cannot get a protection order and live in the same house as your abuser. And often women are not informed of that. Secondly, if you have a protection order, it has to be served by the police. So there are many pitfalls in getting a sexual order that is valid. And so the difficulty is that a lot of people are not correctly informed and educated, so they fail to protect the woman.
Yeah. I mean, if you talk about not being correctly informed, not having the right attitude, what springs to mind is just women who are domestic abuse survivors, women who are still going through that in their lives, have all talked about how police have failed them. How, you know, they've gone to report an incident in their homes with their husbands, and they've been advised to go back to try and talk it out. So when it comes to, yes, we need to understand what our rights are, but police themselves need to understand what their role is, and we should feel protected in going to the police.
That's a real serious difficulty because unfortunately I think the police are undertrained. Can you imagine standing at the counter in a police station or driving a police vehicle? 1 minute you're dealing with the kid who's thrown the ball through the window, the next minute you're dealing with the dog who's bitten someone. So we really need a special unit in the police because the units that we have are too small and too widely dispersed. We need a trained police officer, at least one or two in every single police station, because I was failed by the police. But the thing is, I've come to understand that not every police officer fails you. There are some amazing men and women out there as well, but we need more training. And the reason I'm here today in front of the JSE with my colleagues is that big business needs to step up and help us to fund the scourge. In CSI budgets today, very rarely is there something for sexual violence. It says women and children and feeding. Hang on, guys. Before you feed us, you need to make us well.
And you need to make sure that we're alive. In terms of the reason behind the protest here at the JSE today, and part of that reason is not only the issue around funding, but also the attitudes of corporates to women survivors. Are there enough programs within the corporate space that address issues like women who work for you, who work for the JSE, who work for Deutsche Bank, who might be going through domestic abuse? Should corporates be playing a bigger role in that respect?
Absolutely, that's one of the biggest problems. If we look that there are, I think it's 52% of the country are women, and you have staff that is representative of the country, 52% of your staff could be suffering GBV, and that's without counting in the fact that some men are abused, and some men are abusers, and I don't think that companies are paying the role that they should, simply because they are forced by law to donate a certain part of their budgets, and they choose the nice ones. And so the difficulty is we don't want to confront. When I say to people I'm a survivor, they say, oh, I'm so sorry, and change the subject. We need to say, I'm so sorry, how can I help you? What can we do to advance it? And to embrace that program.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks very much for your time and for the work that you do as well. Glennie joining us here outside the JSE as we bring you live coverage of the #Santa movement. She is the founder of the TIA Foundation.